In this video, we're going to see how we can use materials applied on landscapes and also how we can scatter grass and trees and all sorts of stuff above our surface. So in the previous video, we learned how to either sculpt or import these surfaces. While in this video, we're gonna focus on the painting and painting 2D and 3D painting tools that we have. So let's just make a tour here with our little car with the vehicle template. You can see I've already applied some materials here and some vegetation. And there you go. So I can like go around and you can see how it gets like generated and streamed with like level of details. And everything here, it's automatic. I'm gonna show you how to use some automatic tools to do this because, well, in Unreal Engine, working with landscape elements and painting, it's a little bit complex. Well, I can say it's more complex than what we have seen so far, and it's also more complex than other software that I'm gonna suggest you can use. So if you need to do just rendering and animation, I think that you should use other software, but if you need to do a level for a video game or for an interactive application, you still need to use Unreal Engine, so you need to study how landscapes are done. So if you want to do just rendering and animation, you can use definitely tools or software like Lumion or Twinmotion from Epic Games, because here you will find a set of ready-made trees and grass and all sorts of external elements for landscape design and water. You can create atmospheric effects and all sorts of stuff, concerning the surroundings of your project. So if you need to do just visualization or animation and just a little of interactivity, you can use Twinmotion, Lumion, and similar software. But here, let's see how it's done. So we have our landscapes here. I'm just gonna get rid of the material that I have applied so far. So I'm just gonna select this surface here, which we sculpted in the previous video. I'm going to reset the material. And I'm also gonna do the same thing there. Now you saw that these were two different ways. This one here was way more simple than the other. So I'm gonna reset also the other one by clicking on this little arrow, and it's taking some time, and there you go. Now we have that standard checkerboard applied. So this is where we left off. And let's start with the simple way to do this. So the first thing we can do is just apply a material that we can get again from Quixel or from the marketplace. So if we go to window here and go to Quixel Bridge, we can search for different types of terrains and ground texture. So you can find grass, you can find rocky textures and surfaces. So just go here into Bridge, and you can also download more of them. I'm gonna show you real quick what I have downloaded so far, because we already talked about how to search and download assets from Megascans. So just to make some examples here in the surface, you can see I've downloaded some snow, some rocky textures, some forest floor. You can see here. Now with each one of these you can build a layer, a different layer that you can then paint on your landscape. But let's start simple. I'm just gonna use one. So I've already downloaded this and installed it. So if I go into content, Megascans, surfaces, you can see I have these four. At the moment, this one here is rocky ground from Quixel. So all I need to do is click and drag this inside the correct slot right there. If it doesn't open up, the other way is just to select that on the browser and then click here on this arrow and insert it. Now I want to change material, so I'm gonna use this other one, and so I'm gonna go here and apply this. Now this is usually how it's gonna look like, which is not really good, because if we see here, I've also applied in this other one just to show you. Now the problem here is the tiling, which is the repetition of the texture. We're gonna talk about materials in the following lesson, but we're just gonna have a preview here on how they work. So essentially materials are based on textures. So if I get real close here, this looks beautiful and nice, but if I go there and look at the distance, this won't show really good. So this is the first problem. So the tiling here is not good. We need to have a nice tiling for our material in order to look good, or we need to have like more tools to mix, and also we can add vegetation and things to hide a little bit these tiles. So the one thing that I can do right away is just to double click and let's see how the material is done. So you can see this is the material editor right now, and I can see the material applied on a sphere. So here, this is the single tile, and then this is going to be repeated all over to cover really large surfaces. You cannot use a single image to cover all of this space. So this is why materials have textures that are repeated and they cover large areas. So this technique is called tiling. So we are using a material as a tile. So if I go here in the browser, in the editor, sorry, and go to tiling offset, if I activate this, I can like override the tiling. So if I say 10, this means that this will be even smaller because I'm repeating this 10 times. So it's gonna become smaller and smaller. There you go. But if I go the other way and say 0.1, so I'm making this essentially bigger because I am reducing the tiling. So less tiling, more scale, more size. And you can see now it's looking a little bit better. It's not the best, but it's looking better. Same thing there. So you can do this to fix a little bit the material on top of your surface. So if you start to add some elements in the landscape and also some fog or some atmospheric effects, the tiling will be a little bit more hidden, and that should look fine in the end. So this is just the beginning. So the other thing we need to consider is to mix materials and to paint them one on top of each other to have some variation. So we cannot use just one material. We need to create layers in order to work with the landscape tools in the painting mode. So what we can do is to download other materials or use other materials. You can also go to the marketplace and there are like packages that contain inside different materials. So I'm just gonna show you here real quick. If we go to the marketplace and search for like material packages, here you can just go here and set this to free. You will have like also water materials and twin motion materials. I've downloaded this one here, forest landscape materials, to have more than one. And also we will see another more complex material, which is auto material, and this is to create both painting and vegetation. So you will find a lot of them, but let's go to free, and I've downloaded this one here, which is called Landscape Pro 2.0 auto generated material. This is going to help us to generate not only the material on the surface but also the trees and grass and rocks and all sorts of things. So just to explain to you what's going to happen next. So let's get started and let's first paint a little bit on this. So what I can do is create a new material. So let's go to content, and I've created a folder called landscape material, and this is a new material. To create a new material, you go to add and just select material. So when you're gonna open this is gonna be totally empty.